How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the James Loud Podcast. And today our special guest is Luna Stower. She is an activist. She is a public figure who has helped build many brands and been around for a long time in this scene. We've met over the years several times, starting in Barcelona 2 years ago. No, we've met before that.
Yeah, but we got to actually hang and do a microdose interview.
When we both won in 2024 at the International Cannabis Awards.
Yeah, that was a beautiful inaugural event. Fabulous. Which unfortunately was happening at the same time as all the raids were happening. So it was very metaphoric.
Yeah, it's been wild.
Yeah, that was an important moment for us to all be there and bear witness, because really, in a lot of ways, Spain's kind of like 20 years behind us in every single way, including what's happening now with
the raids and it's
a roller coaster. We understand.
I love Spain.
I know, we love Spain so much.
I love Barcelona. I love everything. I love everything about Cannabis, even the place they're tearing down. La Fura.
I was so sad. I was having so many nostalgic moments just looking up at that beautiful pyramid. It's kind of like the Louvre in France. It's a beautiful building, even though it was like kind of leaking when it was raining, but it's such a dramatic, warm. It's our home. It's our home base. It was where we lived in Spain on and off for the last decade, at least personally. It's a really big loss for us, but you know, this is the year of the snake. It's a time of shedding and a time of renewal. And we're growing out of some of these spaces. And if they don't openly welcome us, we're going to go places that do. This is how cannabis is. We pivot.
Places like Germany.
Yep. And Bilbao, and South Africa's popping off, Central America, South America.
I'm not super excited about Bilbao.
Oh, you don't want to hang out on the beach?
Nah, it's just, so in Bilbao's all right. I go to San Sebastian. That's my spot. I love San Sebastian. But as far as for doing a big event with 20,000 or 30,000 people, it's a destination.
Prohibition. It's pushing us to the fringes.
Right. And I'm glad they're able to do it. I'm glad Cannabis is going to do it. And I hope the best for them. I don't know if I'll be going. I'm definitely going to Mary Jane this year. I'm looking forward to Berlin in June.
Late June.
It's going to be wild. They're talking about 100,000 people. You know, they're expecting 100,000. So we'll see how it goes.
Yes, but there's also word of mouth, and people are going to be like, what are you doing this weekend? And people are going to pull in their friends and family now that it's legal. It's completely, or it's decriminalized to a certain degree and then highly criminalized once you pass that point. So you're going to have up to an ounce, but anything over that is like major fines and prison time. So kind of like what we had here. It's not really decriminalization. It's just commercialization. So we'll see how it goes. But they need us. They need the Western world to show them how we did it. You know, where the landmines are, what to avoid, and what worked for us. That's part of what we do when we go out there in a lot of ways, not in a condescending or, you know, talking down to them way, but we care about this plant. We care about them, and we want to see them do it in a way that's as painless and efficient and effective as possible. Because who wants people to go through what we've gone through here? It's been rough. Yeah.
I mean, I almost think you have to go through it to fully appreciate it. It's like the sour and the sweet. You don't appreciate the sweet if you don't get the sour.
Right.
And, you know, as far as legalization on a global scale, we're moving towards it. Having Germany go legal, especially. They're such a big country. And then for them to be able to move forward, I mean, it's going to open the door for a lot of other smaller countries. And I love the potential for where we're going. And I think there's a lot of fear about what's happening. But there's a lot of fear about everything anyway. People are just fearful, you know, in general.
It's a drug right now, and it's being used against us. So that's why we love plant medicine. It takes us out of our fear body. I mean, maybe we get a little paranoid every once in a while, but for the most part, we tap into the abundance, the love, and the connections that we have and the commonalities. Cannabis is a connector. It's like one of the only things that you can walk into a space and people from every creed, age, race, racial group, political orientation will sit in a circle and share something more than tobacco, more than alcohol, more than
It's like music or food.
Yeah.
It's like music or food. And it really brings people together from all over, many different cultures. And it's, you know, like Cannabis is this amazing melting pot of people from all over the world that are just like-minded in the fact that they love cannabis. And you get hippies and you get guys that are the complete opposite. And, you know, you get everything in between. And it's so amazing getting these people all together for these international events. And, you know, High Times did a really good job at it for a long time. And then, you know, Cannabis, and there was Emerald Cup, and, you know, events like Chalice. Yeah. You know, shout out to Dougie.
Yeah. So, if you were going to say it, I was going to say it. Yeah. That was another one that, you know, issues with the venue caused major ripple effects that put people out of business and gave him unnecessarily a bad name as if he had caused it. It's like, these are the issues that we're seeing. This is the problem with Cannabis too. It's because we can't rent out. They won't rent it out to us because we smoke. They say it's because we outgrew it, and they're demolishing the building. But in reality, we think we have won hearts and minds. And when you look at Spain and other places, even Colorado, I was there for a work trip and got kicked out of an Airbnb for smoking outside, even though it was recreationally legal at the time. Right. The woman knew that I was there for a cannabis conference. She had cannabis art on the wall, which I was like, what about your art? She's like, it's art. I'm like, I'm smoking outside. Like we think that we take for granted. We have a lot of privilege in thinking that, we won the war on weed. Everyone accepts it. No, not everyone. We still have a lot to fight. So it's kind of a good reminder that things aren't just like racism. Just because MLK Day is a thing doesn't mean that we've, completely addressed all of the ways that there's inequities in our society, especially with the drug war and the way, folks of color are over policed for this plant. It's like we can't just rest on our laurels. Like this fight is an everyday fight. Right. And we're seeing that in California. So we've been lobbying a lot at the state capitol. A couple weeks ago, we were with Normal, and we're on January or July 1st, they're hiking the taxes up to 19-20% from, I believe, 14%, which is already like so few people are surviving because of this overtaxation. Consumers are going into, going away from the regulated market into the traditional market, which whatever you feel about that is whatever. But we also have traditional operators that got licensed and are in the, regulated market that want to be able to compete. And it's just like at a time California really needs the money. So talk to your senators and call your people if you're in California before July 1st. This is going to be an irreversible hike, and it's one of many. So, we still have to fight. Like it's crazy to go to these days and there's only 50 or so activists and people from around, the industry, but there's not as many people as there used to be before it was regulated. People would show up to city council meetings in Oakland and there was all of these working groups, and then everyone was just like, oh, we won the legalization fight. Like we're good. And it's like, no, actually, when you get comfortable is when. Oh,
this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. And it's been this way throughout history with everything. It's like, and it takes years, and then they constantly are moving the needle on us, right? So the government especially makes it very difficult for us to get things through for something that should have never been illegal in the first place.
Right. Well, that's the joke. That's the gaslighting. Right. Is like they want us to play their game. It's just like schools and prisons. These institutions were never made to really educate or rehabilitate. They were always about control. So when they proposed Sean Parker and Facebook and all these, suits came and proposed it, we're really just saying we want Uncle Sam to get a cut of this. It was never about decriminalization. It was tax control and regulate. So when people go, well, what's like, even just consumers that aren't even in the space, they're like, what happened? And it's like, because it was a red herring. It was just a distraction. It was a watch the birdie and making all these, trusting people be like, okay, I guess I'll give my mailing address, I guess, which the government and thieves and all these people have taken advantage of all these third generation growers that are now, the lines around the zoning have changed, and now their grow that they've been doing since their grandfather is now somehow illegal. It's just this like to your point, you can't criminalize a plant. You can't criminalize nature. Like this is our birthright. We've been co-evolving with this plant for thousands of years. Right. So the audacity that we would ask the state, which has done very little for the average working class family or working people, the right to give us our own medicine. This is a bodily autonomy and a sovereignty issue beyond even just cannabis. This is about what we can do with our bodies. The people that get upset about, the seatbelt law and the helmet law and the right to choose and all these things. These are questions about bodily autonomy, and cannabis is one of those human rights, civil rights issues that I don't know if we're really calling it that or getting enough traction around it. It's almost like, oh, the stoners just want to smoke weed in the streets. Yeah. It's like, I don't think that that's what it is. I think it's about like our right to have a relationship with plants and nature again at a time when corporate consolidation has just made us, all we know about food is the grocery store. Right. And all we know about nature is what we see on our televisions when we're binge watching Planet Earth.
Well, and a lot of it has to do with education and misunderstanding the plant and associating it as a drug rather than something that heals people, right? So I think something that actually makes the world a better place, but we've been told it's a drug because it alters our state of mind. And it's not for everybody. I don't think one thing is for everybody, but I definitely think for me, especially, there's a lot of benefit to it. I love the plant. I love the way it makes me feel. I love the creative side of it, and I wouldn't be doing anything else. I love the fact that I can make seeds, and those seeds get passed on to other people, and those people grow plants. And
it's the best feeling ever. It's so cool.
Well, you also are making seeds.
I love making seeds.
So tell us a little bit about it.
Plant sex is so fun. Yep. I love, and going back to the when people voted for Prop 64, they saw the do you want weed? Yes or no? And they were like, yes. They thought that they were voting for, decrim. But really, back in the day, I was able to grow 6 plants per person per household. Remember, this was before, in 215, and now it's 6 plants per household.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to out myself online, but let's just say that, we push it to the limit, and we see, how many plants we can get going. We have the ladies in the back. We have the boys with the pollen up in the attic, and we have the moms in the basement, and we just get to have our own little. We're working through a bunch of we're crossing everything by Larry OG just because we love it. We're in a Mediterranean climate here in San Leandro, and which is where I'm from. I'm back in where I'm at. I used to teach high school down the street for 5 years. And I just love even, some of my friends who gave us Colombian genetics are doing really well here. We have an acai, we have a Hawaiian. This sativa goes from we're going to put it in, probably in the next couple weeks or a few weeks here. Yeah. And it goes until like Thanksgiving. It goes over my back house chimney. We have a proper back house with a big brick chimney, and we have to get the double high. And this is just in just little, I guess, 100 gallons, maybe this big. And just no-till. We haven't turned the soil in probably 12 years or 14 years. And they're in those smart pots and we make our own compost tea and make our own amendments. And you will, we're really conscious about what we put into it. Mm-hmm. But I'm a sativa girl. So I just love, I'm forgetting what the cross is. It's a Hawaiian. Oh my God, our geneticist friend Ross that I was just hanging out with is gonna kick my butt. But it's got some mango in it too. Mm-hmm. It's got a mango OG cross in it, but it's so sweet and it's so bright, and it has just those awesome, those basil-y, grapefruity, pineapple-y tropicals, and it just shoots up. It just looks like bamboo. It's so pretty.
Nice.
I love it. I just just sitting in my garden, just be wow.
Yeah, I like it all. I'm in love with particular genetics, like cat piss. We can go back to some cat piss from the Bay Area, the old school that we don't see that often. But there's so many things. It's like sour diesel.
I was literally about to say sour D. Yeah. Bring back sour D.
Yeah, we're bringing it back.
Please.
Dave from Budgelero.
And Sweet D.
We talked about it on my show. Sweet D. I don't remember Sweet D.
That was a Trinity, shout out, Real Trinity Roots, Zachariah from Dutch Creek. He did a sweet diesel that was unbelievable, and a huckleberry. I remember
sweet
OG.
Diesel. Yeah, sweet diesel. Yep. Yeah, for sure. There was a bunch of diesel crosses that were good.
We were talking about the goo earlier, which was I helped me discover my sexuality. Literally, I've never had a strain change my life so much. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that was just situational. And I tried it. I only had a couple nugs. And I I actually just found a jar that had it labeled, and I put it away, and there's a nugget still in it from 5-6 years ago or more. And I'm like, wow, I was really saving that. I really loved that strain. Yeah. It's rare that I do that. It's kind of what I do with some of my hash, where I almost don't, it's the candle that you love so much you don't want to burn it, but smoke your good weed. Don't find your old nug that you were stashing away for yourself. What the hell was I doing?
Well, back in the day, that didn't happen as much, but now with the accessibility and the surplus, there's always plenty of stuff. And so some stuff does go bad. Yeah. I used to just load my freezer up with ounces. And then we'd bust the ounces out, but now it's we try to go through it a lot faster.
Yeah. Or now we have friends okay, my friends in Amsterdam have a cut or can send me something. Before, you couldn't just put out an Instagram post and have 20,000 people see, hey, I'm looking for this. Nicotine does this all the time. Hey, I'm looking for this cross, or strain hunters always do this, or where is this? I was just asking you, can you find me the Luna? But you gave me bad news. You said it's gone. If anyone knows where it was, the 2015-ish era high CBD strain called Luna. It was very purple, really not as purple as the darkness.
It was a Bay Area strain. It was at
Magnolia. R.I.P. Magnolia. It was at Magnolia. Remember Magnolia in Oakland?
Yeah.
And I brought it home, and when I went back, I haven't been able to, and I almost feel kind of the Mandela effect. I'm so glad that you've said yes, because I've asked so many people about it, and they're maybe I kind of remember it. And I'm am I literally just crazy and misremembering this? And you just make me feel so validated.
It was the sixth fruit in Fruit of the Loom. Yeah. In the cornucopia. But no, it really existed. Luna for sure.
Because people ask me, what's your favorite strain? And I say it, and people are cute. And I'm no, really. I'm not just saying
we
it.
had a dog named Luna. So yeah, she passed last year.
Oh, she's with you forever. Over the Rainbow Bridge.
Oh yeah. It's dogs are special.
They're so special. And I always say, when people, I hear that all the time, my dog, my cat. Yeah. And I always love it, because I'm oh, great. So when you think of me, you just have the thing that cuddles with you in bed every night comes to mind. I'm that's such a great connotation.
pet names.
They're always like, oh my God, my cat. And I'm like, yes, I love this. Keep baby talking like in my face. I just met you and you love me.
Single most popular pet name is Luna.
Literally. Well,
like,
it's funny because my legal name is Lauren. I don't normally talk about it because it was in 1984. That was the most popular women's name. So I had like 8 girls in my graduating class that were Lauren, and then the most popular male name was Jordan. Yeah. So in my classroom, I was just hearing Jordan or all day, and I was just like, bro. So since like 6th grade, it was a nickname, and then when I started teaching in the hood and in prisons and juvenile halls, it made sense to just use a moniker that wasn't my first or my last name. Yeah. So my colleagues would call me Luna, and my students would call me Miss Luna. So it made sense. And then moving into cannabis, I'm like, this is great. Yeah. But now, I've been an executive at a publicly traded company for half a decade. So I think it's okay if people know my legal name. I'm not doing dirt anymore. I do miss the days of doing dirt, I will say. Yeah. I never thought I'd say I miss dirty 20s. The dirt's not the same. And USPS. I miss those days. When you
looking
were just
over your back,
getting and
paranoia.
knowing, but was so overshadowed by the righteousness because like my friends on the East Coast, they really didn't have it. These were people that were having severe problems and were like, please, we need this. And it was like, I had no problem sending medicine. It was like, you're kind of protected by this golden orb of light, knowing that you're on the right side of history. It's like, in your heart, there's nothing wrong with it.
My mom's going to hate this story, but I had my mom fly with hash oil to my aunt.
God bless.
My aunt has had HIV and AIDS since the 70s. She was diagnosed with AIDS in the 90s, but she was going through a tough patch and she needed some hash oil. And my mother, who does not smoke, but she did fly with it a long, long time ago. This is 20 plus years.
Because it's not about the tool, it's about the person.
Right. And it's medicine. And my mom recognized that was medicine that could help. They could make a difference. And how can you say that it's wrong? That's the big thing. Like my big argument has been, how can you say it's wrong? Especially you take a look at these kids that have seizures and they respond to CBD and it's like
instantly. That's how you know it's a conspiracy.
And THC and CBD. And it's like, and it's just unfortunate because I feel like a lot of people they bought into the fact that this is bad. And a lot of those people are passing away now. Like this older generation.
They're taking things in an orange bottle because that's somehow pharmaceutical we trust, even though our doctors don't know anything about nutrition, the endocannabinoid system.
Not all doctors.
Yes, we're lucky. We're really lucky. We get some really smart doctors in California, and there are people that are taking it upon themselves, but it's not really in their textbooks. Right. Like the nurses I talked to, they're like, yeah, we might have gotten a paragraph about it, but they're not like, hey, this is the master regulatory system for all your other systems. Yeah. You're immune, you're nervous, you're endocrine. Mm-hmm. No one's like making as big of a deal. It's like if we don't take care of our ECS. I was just on a call with Ethan Russo today, just thanking him. I'm like, thank you for the language to give it to your point, you're going to try to gaslight us into thinking that this doesn't work when we're literally watching the one of the guy with MS or the shaking that resurfaced. It was the one that got really popular, just resurfaced again. People are seeing it for the first time. Yeah. I was on a podcast a couple of days ago with these Irish folks in Gram by the Dam or Dam by the Gram. In Amsterdam, they didn't know who Dennis Perone and Brownie Mary were, which to your point about HIV, the entire 215 era was based on Brownie Mary getting busted by the cops and a big photograph of her getting pulled out of her house by 2 cops for bringing in brownies to the wards in San Francisco where we lost 40,000 gay men in just a few years from HIV and AIDS. And why they're dying is from wasting syndrome. Mm-hmm. And what is wasting syndrome? You can't keep fat on your body. Right. What helps you keep fat on your body? Food. What helps you eat food? The munchies and weed. And what's easy to bring into hospitals? Brownies. So it's like, to your point, your mom was Brownie Mary 100%. It's like, it's not trafficking if it's to my point earlier, this is a human rights issue. Are you going to talk down to the people who were aiding and abetting the escaped slaves in the Underground Railroad? Or were you going to be like, or the people hiding the Jews in the Holocaust? Like these might have been the right things to do at the time, looking back.
Well, and I think some of this is being lost by the people that are just coming into the industry and people that are just growing up and becoming adults. Is they don't see what went on and why cannabis is legal. And cannabis is legal because people broke the law to make it legal.
Yes, right? We went uphill both ways in the snow. Don't forget it.
It's serious. Yeah, and the thing is really? It's such a serious thing. And I think some people think, oh, well, we voted on it and that's why it's legal. No, it's legal because a lot of people went to prison. A lot of people died.
Got their dogs shot in front of them, got their kids taken away from them, lost everything that they've ever owned, even money and cars and assets that they had legally acquired through other careers. Right. If they couldn't prove it, it was asset forfeiture. It's the number one way. People wonder, oh, California, we're the 5th largest economy in the world. It's probably from all of our agriculture and our Hollywood. No, bro, it's the prisons and it's asset forfeiture. It's the prison industrial complex and them taking things from people that are not following their rules. That's what people don't realize about Cali. Yeah. We're a state of robbery. Look at what we did with the Japanese people. We interned all of them in 1945 and they were actual citizens and they were like owned 80% of the farmland and agriculture. So it's like if these people had been doing what they're doing, we probably would see a lot more, even a lot of the sharecroppers and the hemp farmers are a lot of former slaves that were able to build, like we're seeing hemp coming back into these places where it's like, if the original peoples have control over these things, we're going to do a better job, like the wildfires. Yeah. Now we're paying the chiefs, the Native American chiefs, to help us with wildfires and control burns when we were just incarcerating them a few years ago for unapproved burning. So it's like we're finally starting to realize maybe the people, even people like Cannabis who pulled jetty extracts up and are like, can you help us run this? They're even moving away from alcohol. Constellation Brands is going heavy because they're starting to learn maybe just the cut and burn everything tactic isn't working where you get rid of all the original people. It's like changing, the aquarium water for a fish. You don't empty the whole thing out, right? You leave like a quarter of it or half of it with the original biome and you leave a little bit so it can, re-inoculate it. We don't do that. We cut out all the people. We saw it at High Times. It's a main reason why High Times went down. This sterilization, this ahistoric, really like cultural genocide that's happening right now. It's creating these people that are myopic and not understanding where they come from. It's like, wow, great view from up here. Yeah, bro, you're standing on giant shoulders. Like, look down. There's like piles of bodies that you're on top of, and not for guilt. It's actually empowering, but just respect it. Yeah. Thank the Brownie Marys of the world. Thank the Dennis Perones of the world that when it wasn't sexy and fun to come out as a cannabis user, that was when at a time you could lose everything.
Yeah,
Jack
sure.
Harris, Eddie Lepp.
And there's so many people that we'll never know their names, right?
Yep.
We know the names of a handful of the people that did the work and the people that were kind of on the forefront, but there was so many people that helped lift those people up that we'll never even talk about because we don't know.
No.
And, and these are people that believed in the plant, the breeders out there, the real people that did the work. We only know a handful of the real people that did the work and put the time in and gathered seeds and went to other countries, Afghanistan, into, the Kush Mountains, into India, all over India.
Risking their lives.
Risking their lives.
Frenchie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, rest in peace, Frenchie. We've lost a lot of great people in the last.
Hi, guy.
Ash. There's so many people we've lost in the last couple of years. It's really sad.
But they left us so much. I'm in the Ganjier program and I'm like watching hours of. Have you seen him go deep into his biological anthropology and the movement of
sure.
If folks are not on top of Frenchie Cannoli's real, not just his like sweet personality and his hash hookahs and his larger than life, Italian French vibe, this man was 100% a anthropologist and a researcher and a plant biologist. And I learned so much. And it's like, these are like tens of thousands of year old movements I keep going like this because he has like a map up and he shows how the seeds and the genetics and the use cases and the Silk Road. And it's just like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Yeah. These are what helps our arguments when we're trying to explain to people, this is not a new fad, bro. This is our birthright. Yeah. We were literally born with this. Mm-hmm. Like, unlearn to relearn. Yeah. It's like we already know all of this. When we keep talking about education, it's actually the easiest kind of education because it's something that you're on a cellular level you intrinsically already understand.
Right.
It's very empowering.
Frenchie was the man. So the funny story about Frenchie that I have is I interviewed Frenchie when I was writing my book in 2018 before I did a single podcast. I did an interview with him and I interviewed him with Kimberly in Oakland for, 2 or 3 hours. We talked about breeding to make hash varieties, right? And this is before it was a popular thing. I mean, people were talking about breeding hash varieties. Frenchie was like, you can breed with anything. You can make anything work for hash. It's just depending on what you like. And some of
except
obviously
for
yield more.
Haze.
Well, I have some super silver haze hash. I think I might have some in my bag. Like literally some rosin, super silver haze rosin.
Oh, can't
some
make
of
that
it doesn't
anymore.
yield, right? So you can make hash from anything and it's really what you like. And some yields more, some yields less. But it's a personal thing. It's very subjective. And obviously there's some that dump a lot more and some that'll create more pollen, but are those the best ones? Not always, and obviously there are some good ones that really produce and that's getting better and people are really breeding towards this. But he gave me insight that I didn't fully grasp until I had talked to him about like breeding for hash varieties and depending on the type of use. So there's not just one type of hash either. And there's so many different ways you can skin a cat. It's not just very linear. It's so complex and you can take it in any direction because it's very much an art form, right? And so much of this industry is an art form. Yeah, there is stuff that you can basically write SOPs for, but a lot of it there's this level, especially with breeding, and there's a level of luck with breeding. And, a lot of
it's the magic of nature.
For sure. And a lot of the magical stuff, in the past has been bag seeds. And I think a lot of people have taken credit for amazing bag seeds. And, over the years, it's like
the ego. There's no place for the ego in this space, dude. Like,
unfortunately, it's here. There's lots of ego, but you're right.
All hail to the plant, though. You're just a vessel. We're just vessels.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just stewards pushing the plant forward, right?
And caretakers, and sometimes gatekeepers when we need to. When the suits get a little uppity, the roots need to be like, nah, bro.
Well, and this plant takes care of us, but we also take care of this plant, and we grow alongside it, and we evolve alongside it. And it's just this magical thing. If you can look back 2,500 years in your mind and kind of see how this has evolved much longer than that, but even over the last 2,500 years. And, I talk about broccoli and some of these cruciferous plants. So if we go back to wild mustard and how they evolved, wild mustard evolved into broccoli, into cauliflower, into kale, into Brussels sprouts, into cabbage, right? Brussels sprouts and cabbage, they came from wild mustard. All these things came from wild mustard.
It's a micro cabbage if you
really
look at it.
This is through human interaction. We took wild mustard and evolved. It's so funny because cannabis is also evolving just similarly. And it's amazing because you look
at— For better or worse, though, because—
Cannabis sativa L, we're looking at, fibers and all these different things that we can use the plant for.
So amazing. Food. I put it in my smoothie. I have my smoothie sitting over there. There's a bunch of different hemp,
When we have hemp
proteins.
for seed, we have hemp for fiber, we have hemp for, CBD, all these medical
And
uses.
I juice my boys. I juice my males for THCA.
Yeah.
So I actually use my males for cannabinoids too.
When a lot of people don't understand THCA, like I can take a gram of THCA and just a gram and I do not get high at all.
Because it's the acid form.
The acid form, right? Your body doesn't break it down the same. And basically it's really good anti-inflammatory. It makes you feel amazing. I did that for a while. I'm not taking it right now, but yeah, my friend Tim Can Organics sent me some THCA, and and then as long as you don't heat it up, you're good to go.
Yep.
Like the second you
can heat up a little bit, but what is it past 200 or what? 220 is decarboxylation.
I think it's 180.
180?
180
is when it starts.
When it starts, yeah.
So if you want to just put it in a volcano, just warm it up a little bit. You can still do a raw foods diet as long as it's not above 100 degrees. So if during when you're doing raw foods in the winter, they're you can heat your soup up just so that it's not cold but you're not killing the enzymes in it. There's this playing around, but yeah, it's beautiful that we can have this plant in all her forms. Mm-hmm. It's almost overwhelming. It's we know more about deep space and deep ocean. The bottom of the ocean than we do about this plant. If you think about it, we're just
scratching the surface, right? And so we're learning because it's so complex. It's not very straightforward. It's not easy.
That's why they're playing
understand.
whack-a-mole. They're D11. Fuck. We weren't expecting that one. Oh, what's this one? THCV? Oh no. CBDV? Oh. You're baby, they're going to keep coming. We multiply. She's dynamic. She's like a woman. She unfolds. You could be with her 90 years and still not know everything about her.
We've been understanding genetics for a while, but we're just still in the infancy of it in the grander scheme of things. It's wild.
Right. We're held back by our tech.
We are, and we're learning so much every day. And now with AI pushing the plant forward, and what I mean by that is breeding and being able to do data-driven breeding and processing information a lot faster. I think the potential for AI is so huge in this space and so huge, and I think obviously it could be abused, but I think the potential for it is huge. So we should probably smoke something.
Yeah, let's smoke something. And then this conversation is going to go real ranty.
Oh, let's go. What do you want to smoke? Do you want to get into some Skittles? Do you want to get into a hash hole? We've got all kinds of options. We can go through I feel
it's my birthday right now. Are you guys punking me? Is this really happening? Yes, are you guys am I really here right now? Ryan and
you didn't take any mushrooms yet either.
No, but I'm great with mushrooms. I hate to say this because I'm obviously obsessed with cannabis, but if I had to choose, this is like Sophie's Choice. Never want to be given, this is a non, I love how you asked me which one I wanted and you just went for it. And I was going to tell you to do it anyway. I was you choose. I swear if I had to choose between cannabis and mushrooms, cannot imagine my life never accessing psilocybin again. I would be depressed without cannabis. I would miss it like a lover. But psilocybin to me helps me access things. It's a tool that is just too valuable. It's too different. To me, cannabis is experiential. It's more pleasure and symptomatic. Psilocybin is like a cosmovision level access to the divine and your ancestors, like integration of neural pathways and building new neurons. Like I love weed with all my heart, but there's something about mushrooms. And this is why I'm excited to be helping direct the mycology department at Champs trade show, the largest B2B counterculture show is in mycology, because I do believe that a lot of the ills and worries and sadnesses and depression and apathy and not knowing what to do with ourselves energy in society could really be supported by all of these plant mushrooms. I don't want to say like one versus the other, but psilocybin is just works so well with cannabis and is such a great integration. Cannabis is a great integration tool for mushrooms and vice versa.
For sure.
They're so complementary.
I think they're amazing. I mean, I love the fact that I work with cannabis and this is my place and my space and I love it, but I also can appreciate mushrooms, psychedelic and just mushrooms in general. I mean,
I eat them every day.
Cordyceps. We can go down the line, but lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, shiitake, miyake, turkey tail. Yeah, I mean, and the combination. Oh yeah, I mean the combination of all these mushrooms. I do mushroom coffee every morning.
Nice. Which one are you? Do you do Rise?
I do Rise. I do Rise. I Rise twice a day. Rise with the creamer. Nice. It's good. I like. The thing is I'm one of those A/B testers. I test everything. So I'll test it and then I'll stop taking it. And do I need it? It makes me feel better. There's a noticeable difference between when I take it and when I don't take it.
Prove
and
yourself.
I'm not advocating it for everybody, but for me,
there's a value
it works
add.
really good.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank God for, and I actually like when we find consumer products like that because we are product people. So I kind of like that we learn how we interact with products and engage with these things. This is so fun. I love the pink.
Yeah, so the pink is actually a Blazy Susan, right? So those are the Blazy Susan. And Blazy Susan advocates
inspired by a mommy.
Yep, for breast cancer awareness is the pink, and then
shout
mental illness. Yep, for the purple.
Is the purple.
Yep, so I'm a big fan.
Wow.
So yeah, and then they have
fabulous.
As long as you fill it with good stuff,
you have to. I totally lost my train of thought because you handed me the joint. This is the hash hole, right? No, this is a regular joint.
It's a surprise. We'll see what it is.
I'm like, it doesn't. It could
DMT.
go either way.
DMT. Yep. No.
Someone handed me one. We were doing like testing at MJ BizCon, like for a proper like actual testing.
Yeah.
And it got one of their DMT vapes got mixed in, and I was like, they're like this flavor, this flavor, this flavor, and then I was like, that is. I know that. I was like, I know that mothball flavor. That is not
like
terpene.
Mothballs. I can't do it. I don't.
But they were like, oh wait, sorry, that just like got mixed up in my pocket. I was like, good thing I know like I would have just ripped that.
So and there's a lot of people that have DMT pens out there, and I just, for the most part, I think it's a waste. I think that type of thing, like ayahuasca and DMT.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but
if you have the real powder, I just put it on some CBD flower and put it in my volcano and just sip it little by little instead of having to like smoke it in a joint or like hit it in a pen. I like to like microdose my things. I'm too old for this shit.
DMT microdoses. I don't believe in it. I think that it's
you like to blast off.
I think that it's for me.
Not
it's
microdose.
only
I mean tape. I guess I mean like tapering on until you feel. I like it with the.
Well, if you don't hit it in the beginning hard, if you don't get the DMT like initially, you don't really get the full effect or the full experience. And for me, it's an experience. Like I look at life as experiences, and that specific drug is meant for
balls to the wall.
Yeah, it's meant for this out of the body experience. It's not meant for social environments. It's not meant for
you're like you might pee yourself. Your knees are gonna buckle.
Yeah,
or you're gonna look ugly. You're gonna snot yourself.
Literally, my friend came out of it and was like, the first thing he said after not talking for 20 minutes was, "Did I pee myself?"
Oh, buddy.
All right, and so, like, but he had an amazing experience, and I think those kind of experiences, you know, whether you're talking to your ancestors or whether you're talking to aliens or whoever you're talking to and communicating with through that experience, I think it's not to be taken lightly. And I think cannabis we can use lightly recreationally.
Yeah, but doing it on the dance floor like that. Yeah,
but
people
some of
use it so
those
unconsciously.
things they're so powerful.
Completely
right?
agree.
And they have so much power behind them. And to take them lightly or to, you know, make light of them and play around with them, they're not meant to be played around with.
It's like the ocean. You turn your back to it, you're going to learn a lesson real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's why I do like to sit in, I just sat with peyote in Mexico with the people from San Luis Potosí, and I've sat with ayahuasca or yahe in Colombia a couple of times, and I really appreciate. For me, it's more of a physical cleanse than a spiritual one. I actually have a lot more I enjoy mescaline containing plants like Wachuma and San Pedro. Those for me are so palpable and playful, and I'm just so engaged in it.
Right.
Versus my DMT experiences have been very passive for me, and I just feel better served when I'm like able to do a little bit more lucid work with when I'm in it. But I just love all these beautiful plants. I just am so grateful that we're on this planet at this time. And shout out to Maria Sabina for allowing the white man to come down and basically colonize her beautiful mushroom. But we need it in the Western world. Like, we're hurt people, and we have veterans, and we have people who have seen horrible things that need to heal in order for this earth to move forward. So it's been, like, a lot of people have been harmed in order to bring us to a place where we can have these kinds of MAPS trials and MDMA trials now. Like, we know that these things cure alcoholism and depression. We know that in a small amount of time, with a small amount of it, and you don't need to do it many times, it's not an industrial complex. You're not going to get people addicted to it like you do with opioids. And they're scared of it. They're really worried about letting us have, and cannabis falls into an entheogen. Right. It's a natural plant that changes our state of mind and brings us closer to the divine. And people want, like we were saying before, people want to own that dialogue with the divine, like whether it's a priest or a religion or anything. It's like we're moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And the age of Pisces represents the fish. It represents, I believe. It's like the Christ knowledge of like this thing outside of me that knows. And the age of Aquarius is I know. And I know is like an inner knowing. This is why we're seeing so many people turning to plant medicines, where it's like we're looking at some of the things that we're being told, and we're seeing a lot of inconsistencies. We knew that there were aliens. We were told that there weren't aliens. And now they're literally like, yeah, sorry, you guys were right. They're aliens. Like, we know that we are being lied to. So the inner knowing, this is why that self-help and all these podcasts, this is like such a beautiful time for that. So like, I just feel grateful. I always thought like, I want to be born in the 60s so I could have been in the 70s for Woodstock. I was born in the wrong time, like mom and dad, like this sucks. And now it's like, this is the perfect time. I have all the tools I need. I have the empowerment as a woman. I can own things. I can have a voice and be with an expert and being taken seriously. Yeah. This is an amazing time to be alive and be a voice for this plant with this plant. Like, I feel like so honored that I was born into this body in this universe at this time. Shout out to my parents. Yeah. Like, this has been a fun ride, and I'm sad to see what's going on with all the despair in the country, but things come in ebbs and flows. And I think that when the old guard goes away, we're going to have our day. Plants are going to have their day again. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, there's nothing like the present. It's quite the gift. It is the best gift. So yeah, and it's funny because even when it's wrapped in newspaper and Trader Joe's bags and taped funny and kind of broken, it's still a gift. Yeah, so Craig Conant, I don't know if you know the comedian Craig Conant. He's the long hair. He talks about ayahuasca, and you might see some of his reels on Instagram. Or he's going to get a Netflix. He's going to get a Netflix show. I guarantee you, they will do a Netflix comedy show with him. He's hilarious. I went and saw him, but he was in San Jose a couple weeks ago. I dropped off a nice little care package for him with some good Bay Area smoke, and he was talking how he worked at Trader Joe's for 12 years, and now he's a stand-up comedian. And I love it. So like, we all go through phases and waves, and when you're up, it feels like you're never going to be down, and then you're down again, and you go up, and it's like everything in life goes through these waves, and but there's nothing quite like the present. It's all we have, because the rest of it's kind of a hologram. Because past tripping and future tripping, it's all just either worry or because the past is immaterial. Yeah. We think it exists, but it's just hearsay. Right? It's not like, you can't really prove it. Even with videos, it's like, it's still not something you can bring back. Yeah. So all you have is right now. For sure. And honestly, I feel good. I've been in this mode of like radical acceptance, and as a control freak and someone who likes to just do everything right and have my say and be, little miss figure it out. I don't have to figure it out, actually. Like, it's nice to not have to do the work. It's nice to just know. It's like, let go, let God. It's going to flow, and not future tripping, which is hard. Like, I'm a neurotic Jewish girl raised by two, like, parents with master's degrees from New York City. Like, I was, like, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor. And it's like, you're going to go to this college, you're going to go to that. It took a lot of time for me to be like, no, I'm going to be a hippie. I'm going to be an educator. Like, it's funny that I ended up being a business person in the end. Like they were in marketing, they met at an advertising agency. So it's always funny how you come full circle, but it's like, I've been trained in my culture to just be hyper productive. And it's like, actually when I'm my most productive is when I'm the most like have an abundance mindset and confidence. And I have the law of attraction on my side. I'm not out there grasping or trying too hard to make things happen. It's just living in a good way, acting in a good way, speaking in a good way, and seeing the community and the resources that just come to me. Like that's this, wow.
Right.
Like just do you, boo. Like do you and everything will come around you. And I've always had elements of that, but seeing other people like grasp so hard. They always say that the monks would walk around with their, their bowls or their hands open. Because they had this idea that something was always going to come to them, but they never grasped it. They never held on to leftovers. They never took more than they needed because they knew that in the opening, like when you close it is when it goes through your hands. Like in the opening leaves room for so much, even though it looks like you're hungry or you looks like you're in scarcity, you're actually in abundance because you're making space for something. And I don't know if it's like too woo-woo, but I'm looking at all the bonsai and we're smoking weed and talking about plant medicine. So I really do believe it's up to us to see the bright side of things right now because the depressing side is so easy. And I feel like they want us to do that. That's why we want to smoke weed, because we're pleasure seekers. Yeah. We want to feel good. We want good music. We want good love. We want good food. We want good art. Like everything that cannabis brings us is for pleasure seekers. That's why the pearl clutching Puritans don't want it. It's because they don't want you to sit around and just bullshit about ideas and figure things out for ourselves. They don't want us questioning things deeply. Right. That's why I love I'm not religiously Jewish, but like the culture of it is like cannabis, very pro cannabis and it's pro drinking wine because there's this conversation with the divine that happens. There's a questioning. That's why Jews always argue is like in the Torah, you were supposed to figure out if your understanding of the word was the same. You're supposed to kind of push things. And that's such a beautiful thing for plant medicine is it makes you kind of be like, whoa, what's up with this or that? And we always call it having a high idea. Oh, I had a high idea. Right. That's by design. Yeah. Totally. This is such a fun toy that we have to play with.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and there's so many directions you can go. It's like as far as effect, right? So, and as far as effect, there's just so many different effects that you can achieve with it. And not only that is our body chemistries are so uniquely different that one plant doesn't give the same person the same effect, right? So, like from one to the next, it's like, it's all over the board.
That's what makes it magical, right?
Well, it's magical for some of us and maybe not magical for others.
Well, and it's because they want to be able to say, it's like pharmaceutical where you take 25 milligrams of Tylenol and you take 25 and you're going to have the same effect. And this is the thing is you can't fit the square peg into a round hole. It's a magical, mystical thing. That's not a CPG thing. And this is why it excites me to hear people say this, but it's bad for business. It's like the more variables there are, the harder it is to make it dosable and scalable. But this is the conundrum is why are we trying to formalize and put this plant into every other consumer packaged goods SOP, the end process that we have. Like that's not, we need a new paradigm for this plant. That's why I love the social clubs because there's someone that's sitting there that teaches you about go slow and low is the way to go. Make sure that you're drinking water and sitting down, chill here for a few hours, low light, cool music. Like that doesn't have to be a clinical, a sterile setting for it to be clinical. There is a trip sitters now, mushroom trip sitters. There are ways to allow this, like for you, it might something like this might put me to sleep and it might make you go clean your bathroom. Like let's lean into that instead of it being like, that's a fucking wild, Sure, You're like, I'm not doing that. But hey, there is a strain out there, James, that would make you scrub your tiles. There is.
For sure.
There is an Adderall strain out there that's like, drrr.
Yeah. In fact, I had a THCV pen and it's THCV and caffeine and some other stuff in it. And I was like, well, the funny thing is, so I was in Seattle and my buddy who's friends with this scientist made these pens and gave me one and I hit it when we were on the way to the restaurant. And all of a sudden I started feeling sick at the restaurant. And I was like, man, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm going to throw up.
That's weird.
And
yeah. A little weird to vape.
It was a little weird. Yeah, the effect was a little weird, but I definitely wasn't hungry.
PEG.
Right?
Yes.
I definitely was not hungry at all.
I have a question for you and for the listeners. Is this concept that THCV is an appetite suppressant, if you zoom out, I've heard this theory that it's actually dissociative because it's also really helping veterans with night terrors and other things that are happening in deep REM sleep. And I'm curious if it's the ketamine cannabinoid in the sense that it's what they say about the real reason why it's a appetite suppressant is because it breaks the dopamine cycle that you get from consuming, they say food and eating is addictive, especially cheese and other things like sugar. But you get just like from getting your phone and seeing a like if, we wake up and see 50 million likes on our video, we're going to get a big dopamine boost. Sure. So it's like, we get that with food. So the thought behind why THCV works, what I've understood is that we're kind of like, seeing it from one angle, but it could be so much bigger.
Right.
Like it's not really suppressing your appetite. It's changing the way that you're relating. It's changing your endorphin cycle and like how your body is feeding you to do certain things. Because it's a reward system is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? What do you think? Have you ever experienced that? Like other things, like maybe that was part of why you got nauseous. Is it a dissociative? Like, I don't know, people get nauseous on ketamine. Like, and I'm not trying to compare cannabis to ketamine.
I do not like ketamine. That's not my jam.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. But like, do you like other dissociatives? Are you also just kind of not into, you're not into Vicodin, you're not into alcohol? Yeah.
Alcohol is one of those things like, I enjoy alcohol. I try not to drink right now, but I go through phases where I like good alcohol. I like good because I like good experiences,
is alcohol dissociative? I actually don't know. I'm just naming it that. Is it?
Probably.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise. I mean,
but there's so many other things that are happening too.
There's so many things that numb you to life's experiences, and there's things that tune you in, or there's things that tune you out.
Right. Vibration raisers and vibration lowers.
I love the things that heighten my senses. Cannabis is one of those. It'll tune you into things like music, conversation, people, vibes. Mushrooms is very much the same way. It really tunes you into reality. And then there's other things like alcohol that tune you out. And Dead and Company, I notice a lot of people drinking alcohol these days at the Dead and Company shows, and it's like
that was not
it does the exact opposite of why I go to the show.
Right, it was for the acid dance parties. Hello.
Yeah, but even still, even just smoking weed as I'm getting older, I don't take acid very much anymore.
But in theory, it was more of just like the gentle, hyper present,
tuning
extremely
into
gentle.
Something much bigger than yourself and being part of something that's a whole unit that you're one small piece of, right? And that was the beauty. That's one of the beautiful things of the Grateful Dead is this: you're on this vibration, and everybody else is on that same vibration, and you're all tuned in together to this music that's extremely special. And then we have these people drinking, and it's not, I'm not going to judge anybody for whatever they're doing, but that's just not what I get out of going to music. I don't enjoy that. I want to tune into the music and be part of that vibe.
Not be watching out for someone to spill their drink on you or step on your shoe
no,
or drag their girlfriend out or pass out or vomit or all the horrible things, the fights.
People bumping. And not even always fights, just aggressive behavior. And you don't get that like normal with weed as much. You don't
brings
get
out like the demonite in people.
Yeah, egos too. And egos people, people fall into their egos.
Because they're not present. Go back to your point. When you're on alcohol to that degree, macrodosing alcohol, you are not present. And the thing is you're like, I don't want to judge people. I'm like, they would be judging themselves if they were the sober one watching them. Yeah. Like no one wants to see a video of them from the night before, like acting like that.
I don't know about no one, but most people.
Most of them would be like, not a good look.
Yeah. So let's take a step back and go to the very beginning. How did you get involved with cannabis?
I went to 420 in Porter Meadow at UC Santa Cruz and ate mushrooms for my first time and had a revelation that I was going to help liberate plant medicine because the cops came and I was like so upset. You know, when you're on mushrooms and like something happens and it's like an affront to all that is good and you were like, it like hit hella deep.
And this was like, maybe 1998.
I'm not that old. This was 2000. This is 2002, my freshman year. Or no, well, I guess it would be 2003. 2002 was when I graduated high school here at Cache Valley High. Nice. Shout out CVHS.
Yeah.
Also birthed Rachel Maddow and one of the members of Metallica. That's our claims to fame. Unincorporated area of Alameda County, by the way. We are not a real city. That's why we're special. Nice. I was like, you know what? I am just not trying to feel bad about whatever this is. I'm with my girlfriends. We're in the literal, anyone who's ever been to UC Santa Cruz, it's in the Redwood Forest. It is a stunning natural, just like it's a literal conservation park. It is beautiful. Banana slugs all day. Hermaphroditic. We're both. One of the only animals that can switch switch their sex to match the other slug that they're meeting to make sure that they can have one girl, one boy.
Wow.
Did you know that? It's a fun fact. Don't kiss them. They say it's good luck to kiss them, but it kills them if you touch them with your fingers. They don't like the oils on her. That's fun facts about banana slugs. Oh. But it was those kinds of trippy things that I was like, you know what? I know my parents want me to be this, that, and the other thing. And I got into UCLA and into Occidental, where Obama went, all these like prestigious schools. I'm like, I want to go to the stoner school and like learn about feminism and become part of SSDP and normal. So that was really like, but like, 11 years old, I was smoking it and selling it, and my friends' parents were growing it. And I was helping them in their garden. So I was like literally 11 years old in 6th grade, like smoking blunts and learning how to trim.
Yeah.
And then went up to Trinity County and did that on the farm, like literally without any lights or electricity, with just dogs and guns and homegrown genetics and 3rd-generation growers up in, shout out Weaverville, Dutch Creek.
Weaverville, nice.
Some of the best weed in the world. I could say that confidently. It's some of the best weed in the world.
Nice.
So, that was in college. In high school, I was just kind of like, I didn't know it was medicine until college. I didn't know I was self-medicating until I was like, oh, this actually like helps me during my period, helps me write, helps me squirt on, edibles. First time I had an edibles, I was like, oh, I wet the bed. And they're like, no, that's not pee. Well, it's pee. Some people say there's traces of pee because it comes through the urethra. All right, fine. I'll give it to the haters. Like some people want to say there's a little bit of pee, whatever. People do way grosser stuff. We've just always been in my life. It was never a drug. Everyone was just like, we weren't into cocaine in the late 90s. It just wasn't, we didn't have a bunch of party drugs. We weren't on the East Coast. It was just weed and cheap alcohol.
Yeah.
And I threw up 7th grade. I threw up on Southern Comfort and never drank again. Like never got drunk since I was in 7th grade. So I was just like, this is my drug. And then I learned about, psychedelics, and I was like, oh no, these are my drugs too.
Yeah.
I'll do MDMA sometimes in small amounts, but I really like smelling and growing and burning and tasting and smashing and dabbing and licking and swallowing weed.
Nice. You like everything about it then?
I love everything about it. People, like, I've judged for the Emerald Cup. I've judged cartridges. I've judged rosin competitions. I've judged ice water hash competitions, flower competitions. I've done the tinctures and the drink category and the topicals and the cosmetics and the bath bombs and the up the hoo-ha and up the butt suppositories. I've tried everything, the mouthwashes and the freaking all of it. And I just love them all equally. I mean, if I had to choose one way for the rest of my life, it would obviously be dabbing rosin. But
yeah, flavors.
Save the terps.
Terps.
The
There's
resin
something
eggs.
special about terps. I still, if I had to pick one way I could smoke the rest of my life, it would be joints.
Of course, because you're James Loud. That's on brand. You have to, that's, of course.
I love joints. But no, I mean, I like rosin too.
I just don't want to combust forever. I feel like I'm going to look old. And when I go hiking, like yesterday, I'm with my dogs and I'm like, get a little wheezy and like out of breath. I'm like, oh, it's all the ash.
Well, I heard you have to smoke bigger joints because then the wrinkles around your lips.
Oh, your embouchure is more spread out. That's very smart.
Yeah,
but the
so
problem
when I told
with
you
bigger
that in
joints
Spain,
is
I was like, oh,
that makes sense.
Thanks for, I mean, I'm getting old now.
Leave it to the
know?
vain smokers. Well, their problem is they're smoking it with tobacco. They're fucked either way.
Yeah.
Can I cuss on here?
You can say whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, absolutely.
Halfway through, how long are we? Wait, is it count down or count up? Wait, we've been on for 5 hours.
Yeah, 5 hours.
It's 5 p.m. Oh my God. You saw my face. I was like, I could believe that. I could believe that. 5 hours.
Yeah.
Did we eat those mushrooms after all? And I just didn't know.
We've been smoking mushrooms. It's this new smokable.
Oh, people try to put those in our vapes and it just doesn't work. That's all placebo. Don't believe it. 2CB and MDA and those other things do work.
Well, the thing is the smokable is the DMT that they're putting in the fake mushroom bars, right?
4AO, the 4AO. Yeah, that's a whole nother
garbage stuff. The Chinese garbage stuff that needs to be out of our country.
Absolutely.
There's no reason that should be.
Yep. I 100% want that regulation, especially working at Champs where some people, it's like there's only so much due diligence that people can legally do. And it's like some people try to come in and we're like, no.
Yeah.
You cannot have those kinds of things here. Like nothing that's going to get people, taken out on stretchers or anything. Like we want only the most reputable brands and people that are like known for the good work that they're doing.
So you're working with some awesome people at Champs. Michael Troniak. Yeah. And that's how I found out that you were working with Champs. Easy. I know Mike from High Times. Like he's my homie from back in the day.
Danny Danko.
And Danny Danko, both High Times guys. So the Sweet Leaf Grinder that Michael is owner of Sweet Leaf Grinders. Yep. And Sweet Leaf was the original. If you guys don't know about grinders, Sweet Leaf was the original. Back in 1997, I got one of the original 10. Long story, but it got taken by the feds at one point in my life. And then they gave it back to me and then it got stolen.
No.
Yes.
See, I always make that joke. It's like you think you're getting robbed by the government, and then it's just the fucking crook.
And then the government gave it back, and then with weed in it, it was in a backpack. They didn't even fuck with it, and then basically the backpack got stolen in Oakland. And got blipped.
Bipped.
Maybe
in Hayward is blipped.
They blipped the shit out of me. Yeah, those are the car. We got laptop.
So sorry,
Yeah.
Never leave anything in a car, anytime, anywhere.
In Oakland. No,
maybe we're the only place. I've just lived in the
Oakland's
East Bay,
so bad. Yeah, I mean,
and San Francisco, anywhere in the Bay Area.
Yeah, San Francisco
especially
too.
if you're in a rental car.
Oh, especially by the Oakland
sometimes they'll
airport.
just break your stuff. They don't even want anything. They just know it'll cost you $300 in 3 hours of your life.
Yeah, seriously,
it's rage. I call it rage bipping.
Mm-hmm.
They're just mad, and this is not anyone's fault in particular. There's since the pandemic, the economic situation and homelessness in Oakland has gone up. And even in the cannabis world, Too Short's brother was just shot and killed. He was doing security detail for a cannabis grow here in East Oakland.
Wow.
And was killed as a security guard. Like, and it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You've seen like people driving through the front of these dispensaries and stuff. So that's why a lot of people are just going back up to NorCal. They're like, we're just going back up to Rosa and back up to Redding. And they came down to Oakland.
Going back into the hills.
But it's okay. I mean, cannabis had its time in the Bay Area. We don't need to be the center. LA can take that if they want to. New York's up and coming really fast. There's other states that are, doing their best. Obviously, Colorado does something. Oregon's kind of quiet, but Washington's kind of.
Man, Oregon's special in its own right with genetics.
Weed.
Oh, they have some of the best breed. I was born in Portland.
And nice people. Yeah.
Really nice people. Yeah. But if you look at the genetics. Shout out to Laurel Crest,
only certified GMP cannabinoid manufacturer, hemp manufacturer out of Portland.
Yeah. Portland's special. They got some good growers up there. I mean, they have
best.
One of the best growing climates in the whole world is in Oregon.
We call it NorCal. Upper NorCal.
Oh yeah.
We're all the Pacific Northwest. We don't even really you can't, if you put Washington or Lower Washington, Oregon and NorCal weed next to each other, you would be hard pressed to really find too big of a difference. Unless you were really on top of your shit. Like
I would say difference in genetics.
Yes, difference in genetics. Yeah,
difference
but quality.
In preference. Quality though, there's quality. I mean, Washington has amazing flower. I have lots of friends in Washington. They grow fire. Oregon, same thing.
Southern Oregon.
Dude, John Bayer, Green Bodie, some of the best. He's an Oregon guy. He's killing it in Oregon. He's not originally from Oregon, I don't believe, but he has amazing flower, amazing soil, and I'm one of those ones that I like soil. I like cocoa. I like Rockwool for certain applications. Same thing with cocoa and same thing with soil. I don't think one size fits all. It's not a one size fits all. And it has so much more to do with the grower than it does with the substrate.
Yep.
But everyone wants to say, oh, this is the best. And it's like, maybe that's the best for what you do or whatever.
Fundamentalism doesing help the plant. Flexibility does.
Yeah. In life, in general, flexibility does.
Yeah. You want to be, vetting it in a way that's thoughtful. But I think that's what the plant teaches us. She's so flexible. You can have the same pheno in 3 different expressions. You're like, you guys aren't sisters. And they're like, yeah, we are. We're literally the same parents. And you're like, no, you're not. And they're like, yeah, we are. So it's like, let us learn from her. She allows, it's like sometimes a lot of wind makes her stronger. Sometimes a lot of wind makes her weaker. Yeah. I've had sometimes where having fans blowing was so smart. It was the best thing that we ever did. And other times when it was like, it really stressed her out. It's really stressed them out. And like we lost a couple weeks and a couple pounds. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? So it's like, I like that. What it does is it allows for listening. And Swami says a lot. He does the muscle testing when he is asking a plant, like, are you ready to come down? Would you like to come down? Can I take you down? And he taps it. And if it moves, it's like the muscle testing where you're holding like a cigarette in one hand and an apple in the other, and it's easier to push down the one with the unhealthy thing, which is like pretty much been proven. It's a little woo, but it's pretty energetically like all these, there's certain ways like with the, what are they called? Not a pendulum, I'm forgetting what it's called, but there are ways to like test energies and talk to plants. And I just love that receptivity and that humility and that respect and sweetness of the approach with the plant to just be like, hey, how you feeling? Like, you tell me, what do you want? Like, it's also part of like combating what we're seeing now is like in rape culture in the West or in the world in general is just like this taking of something and this entitlement to things and this control over things instead of being like centering in the female and in the divine and in the receptive and in the giver of the life. Like, ask her when she's ready. Yeah. It'll probably be better than when you just feel like taking it. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that consent and that request of like, hey, how you feeling? Like, you down? Instead of being like, I want it. Like, it's ready. Like we already pre-sold you and another day is an extra $5,000. So whatever. And it's like, well, now you're chopping during the day. You're not even waiting till night because you don't want to get up at 4 a.m. because you want to sleep in, like there's so many ways that we just like pimp her out like she's a hoe. And it's like, no, maybe you should try bringing flowers to her altar and maybe she'll be abundant for you. Imagine that.
Yeah. Nice. Good stuff. So if you had one piece of advice for other women coming up in the industry, what would that one piece of advice be?
You got this. Stay strong. Find other women who support you and who bring resources to your life, not just the party friends and the women who do the women's events and utilize you for helping them grow, but actually show up for you and support you and reshare your posts and comment and like and come to your events and share their CPA practices with you and don't gatekeep on cool events that they're going to or getting you +1s to an event. Like get mentors, get people in your life that see your potential and will walk you into rooms that you otherwise wouldn't be getting into. And acknowledge the men that are doing the same. Thank them, tell them, hey, I appreciate you seeing me, you supporting me. This is what like feminism looks like in 2025. It's men showing up for women. It's a fabulous question. I usually, if you don't ask the woman part, when people ask me, what do you say to people like getting into the industry or coming up in the industry? I'm always just like, run, don't come. Like we're already like overwhelmed with so much brilliance that's leaving the space because of the gentrification of the space and the overregulation of the space. But so in a lot of ways, like, if you aren't already used to dealing with sexism and inappropriateness and just corporate bro culture in other contexts, you should probably get some chops around that before coming into cannabis because it's not too different here. I love the cannabis space because I find it to be full of incredibly safe men. I love the way that I feel at cannabis events. I do not feel that I'm judged for the way that I look or that I've gotten from where I am anything to do with my sex. I don't date within the industry. People respect me and love me for who I am. And so that is very encouraging. I'm really proud to say that, like, coming from like a teacher, I was a public school teacher. I've had other jobs where, or even in some areas of like some of these investor conferences have a very not cannabis people in the space that like you're going to have to be in cannabis and interact with some of these people that are kind of in the more financial trading spaces. And like they use money to manipulate people and to buy love and to buy, amistades. I'm still thinking in Spanish because I just came back from Spain. That like you're buying friendships. And so just remember that like everything you do, we've mentioned it a couple of times in this podcast too. It's like, are you acting in the way of the plant? Are you being abundant? Are you growing in community with other things? Do you work with the seasons? Are you loud and sticky and beautiful and sexy and fun? And are you scientifically sound? Are you helpful? Are you adding value? Are you dynamic? Like these are the things that the plant teaches us. And if you're not keeping up with her majesty and her level, then you should like work on that outside of the space and come back, because we're seeing a lot of sloppiness and unprofessionalism and a lack of earning of being in the spaces that some of these people and especially women are in. And I'm going to say it, and I'm not, as a woman and a feminist, you're never supposed to talk down on other women, but I will call out women who do use their looks or make it harder for other women, like some of these booth models or some of these influencers or some of these even professionals with like C-suite titles that are like using their charm and good looks instead of like showing up to, like we're talking, I don't see some of these people at lobby days. I don't see some of these people as parts of medical, minorities for medical marijuana or NCI. I don't see them. And, not all of these organizations are perfect and everyone wants to boycott this and that. But like, I just wish that people would do more research and see that the proof is in the pudding. And when all you have is followers and all you do is party and you don't grow, you don't work with genetics, you don't have a professional degree or any background of study in it. You just love smoking weed and you're super cute and people repost your shit, or you are using your background in tobacco or alcohol to make really slick marketing and everyone loves you for that because you launch sexy brands that portfolios and VCs like to see. Like I'm seeing a lot of those people, to your point about this ahistorical, like everyone just coming in thinking that it's like a free for all. It's like, you got to do your dues. Just like Anthony Bourdain said, like he had to wash dishes and be a heroin addict for like 18 years in New York before anyone was like, yeah, we'll give you a book deal and let you travel the world for CNN and have like the most popular food show ever recorded in history. RIP. I smoked a joint with him. That's another story for another time.
This show's not over. We're going. We're definitely going.
We'll put
a
pin in my Tony Bourdain, but like he talks about that. It's like get dirty and see what it's like, and that's why you see Tony going into foreign places and going to where the working class poor people are and squatting in the plastic chair in the street with the Vietnamese noodle lady. Like that's where it began and where it always will be. And you cannot sterilize humanity out of cannabis. And that is what patriarchy wants to do, is it wants to take this receptive, creative, emotional, moody, like not easy to make malleable into what you want. That's our strength. And so like, that's what I would say to women is just like, keep on keeping on, do you, and make sure that you're, like I have gilded, these are Ross Boss earrings. My friend Chelsea puts these in gold. They're leaves and a nug. It's actually, the nug is 24K gold dipped in 24 karat gold. And I wear them. They're not molds. A lot of these jewelry you'll see are like, they make a mold of the nug and pour the metal into them. But these, you can feel the trichomes. Like I'll hand it to you so that you can actually feel the trichomes on it. There's like actual trichomes on it because it's the plant. Like this nug is the actual plant. Like I carry it on me at all times. And I wear this plug around my neck to remind me that like there are brokers, there are things, like
just put it in my pocket
right?
here. Right?
They are amazing. How beautiful is that you can feel like, so I don't ever want to forget, like the plug is where I came from. It's like, don't forget the trap life. Don't forget the traditional market. Don't forget what it was before it was legal. But then it's like leaning into having a more sophisticated version of that. So, know that like you can be a lady, a freak in the sheets, but you have to be that lady in the streets and you have to show up for cannabis because people are already trying to call her, this frivolous thing. And if you come in being another frivolous woman trying to represent something that just is another like packaged goods that you're trying to like be in goop and trying to think that cannabis is like the new mommy and me getaway. Like that, this is not what cannabis is for. Like if you don't have, like I literally have dirt under my nails right now from being in my garden before coming here. Like if you're not doing the work, please sit down and elevate women who are.
Yeah, love it.
It's hard truth, but it's like, I'm not going to bullshit. Like you didn't have me on here because I have the niceties.
Sure. It's all about being a person of substance, man or woman. I think being a person of substance.
Well said.
And, that translates into every industry. It's like, but there's a lot of people that see the social media world and it's not necessarily the real world, but they see this social media experience and they want to be famous or they want to have lots of followers or subscribers if it's YouTube or whatever it is. And I feel like that's not what life's all about. Life is about experiences.
Right, not performances.
It's not about performances. It's about
if I want a performance, I'll go to the theater. I love a performance.
Absolutely.
When you're a trained actor. Right. None of these people have training. They're not telling something compelling. They're just bought for a 15% off code.
Because there's a place for everybody. So I'm not going to judge too much, but I want to elevate my friends around me and help them become people of substance. Right. And I think we're all in it to make the world a better place to a degree. And I think we all can be in it to make the world a better place. And I think there's things that we try to do to make the world a better place. And then there's things like we drive cars that maybe don't make the world a better place, but it all balances out. And hopefully at the end of this, we can say, man, I did my part. I think at the end of the day, that's what counts.
I think we can.
Yeah.
I think we can say that.
Anthony Bourdain. Tell me about Anthony Bourdain. We got to hear this story. Ryan is dying to hear how you smoked with Anthony Bourdain.
Oh
and
goodness.
Anthony Bourdain is one of my heroes for sure. He's one of the biggest influences in my life for career, media, everything.
So I've met a lot of like rock stars and famous people just by walking into spaces. And I'm not like a starstruck person. This is like maybe the Mars Volta and like a few other people that I've like just loved and I've just figured out. I just have rock star like passing. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just have a confidence in people usually like she's supposed to be here or whatever. Yeah. So my sister and I she's 2 years older than me. We always traveled together and we used to watch Tony on No Reservations before the second show. I'm forgetting right now. Parts Unknown. Thank you. And he really inspired, I read Kitchen Confidential. I read all of his books and he announced that he was going on tour with Anthony Repair, with Eric Repair, his best friend, and who's an amazing French chef. He's the owner of Le Bourdain, which is like been the number 1 rated restaurant in the United States. It's Michelin, multiple stars. If you're in New York City in Manhattan, you have to go visit him. Tell them Luna, tell me the the guy at the front, the Luna sent you, and they'll get you in. It's hard to get reservations. It's fabulous. But the joke about so they went on a speaking tour that was like a comedic kind of a duo on stage. This was in Vegas, and my sister and I were like, we're going to Vegas just for this. It was at the Palms, and they're having this like incredible back and forth. And I actually used this metaphor a lot when I was watching them, because one would sit in the hot seat, the other one would go around them. And of course, Eric Ripert is soft spoken and French and very sweet and thoughtful and poetic, and Tony's just cussing and crass and he's a New Jerseyite and he doesn't give a shit. And so the question was, what's more important? And this goes back to your thing about genetics and growers. What's more important, the food and the ingredients, or the chef? And of course, the Frenchman is saying, oh, it's the ingredients. If you don't have the freshness of this, and it's so important to have this, of course, I have to go with that. And Tony, he's like, I can make cardboard delicious. Like, it is, the art is in the humanity. Anything can be made into food with fire. What makes it cuisine is the cook. And so it was just this amazing, conversation. And then there was like a VIP after party in a suite up at the Palms. And we took the service elevator. This was like almost 20 years ago now. Like, I was in my 20s. We took the service elevator up, snuck past like 3 different areas of security. And there was like, not only were you supposed to have a name tag, but you were supposed to have a wristband. We ended up getting into this line to get a book signed by him. And I don't know, people probably paid thousands of dollars for this event. And we get in line. I totally forgot that the first time we met was actually around weed until I'm telling the story. And Jason Murder, who was a friend of mine who was managing him at the time, we go to take a photo with him. Me and my sister are flanking him. The photo will come up. And I had a spirit hood, which was like, do you remember those spirit hoods? They're like festy spirit hoods. And in the side pocket, there's a hidden pocket that's a deep pocket. And I had like a fat it was honestly, no joke, is probably one of these strains we're talking about from Trinity. Yeah. That was when I was getting it from real Trinity roots. And so I'm like, leaning in for a hug. And this was at the time that he was not, really smoking. He was really into jujitsu. He was with his new Italian wife, and she wasn't that into it. And he was just on a tea break or whatever. And he goes, oh, you smell good. And so we take the photo. I get Jason Murder's phone number or something, because he took a video on his phone because my phone was being weird, and he texted to me or something. So I just stayed in touch with him. And when they came back, Jason was like, hey, we're doing a show in San Jose. We have like a lady hired to like pick us up and do stuff, but do you want to just like be our like kind of chauffeur for the day? In just like my 2001 Toyota Highlander. It's like my dog, my adventure mobile. So it's me and Jason in the front, and Eric Ripert and Tony in the back with my sister in the middle. And we go around the back after. So we go to the show again. We got to go backstage, and then we got to drive them to another place where they were like signing autographs and doing things at this Mexican restaurant. We were just chilling. I have a couple photos of that I can send you guys too. And we go to pick them up around the back, and I light the joint for me. Me and my sister are just smoking. Jason's smoking. Eric gets in. He doesn't partake. And Anthony watched it go around like a couple times. And finally he was like, fuck it. And, this is no disrespect to like his memory or whatever. It's just fun. It's just, this was forever ago. Yeah. But yeah, he was in the back of my little, it wasn't a beater at the time. Now it's a beater, but just my little like mom style SUV in the back parking lot of a Mexican restaurant in San Jose after a show. And just the openness, and drove them back to their, hung out in the lobby for a little bit. And then they went back to their hotel, and just got to just be human with him for a minute, and be able to tell him like, you're the reason why my sister and I've been to 41 countries, and half of them were because of things that I saw on Parts Unknown and No Reservations. The humility and the approach that he had. And he talked about cannabis a ton. He would talk about cannabis, I would say like on one out of every 5 episodes, he either smoked it or talked about it. Yeah. Whether he was going to a place that had it, like he always overtly, that was a big deal at the time on the History Channel and on CNN. Like these are major mainstream, more progressive leaning, left leaning. But that was like wild that he always made room. He was open about his former heroin addiction. Yeah. And unfortunately, Eric Ripert, who I'm still very good friends with and love him so much. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. He found him when he took his own life in Paris, because he was going through this whole Me Too movement with his partner, and he had put himself out there with this Harvey Weinstein stuff, and it was overwhelming for him, and he had no alcohol in his system or anything, and he was just really overwhelmed. And I always wonder like if he had cannabis or if he had plant medicine and more access to mushrooms and wasn't in Europe or wasn't in like whatever space he was in, if like we could have helped him, just like we've intervened with so many other people who've committed suicide. So he's a story of suicide awareness. He's a story of normalization of cannabis. He's a story of being a foodie in the least elitist, least isolating way. It's all about getting as many people in the room as possible.
Oh, he was, in my opinion, he's the modern day American, right? The American dream, all that stuff. And, rest in peace.
See his
5
documentary.
or 6 years now.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, definitely watch the documentary on his story where they interview a lot of people in his life. It's pretty eye-opening. And you do see the impact of when you over-involve yourself in other people's stuff. And like I was saying before about like, we all have a responsibility as plant medicine and drug users or whatever you want to call it, cannabis, weed. We have to take care of our mental health because we cannot hide from or numb out on any of these things. And suicide is a temporary solution or a permanent solution for a temporary problem. And we can't just rely on smoking a joint if we really need to be doing some serious mental health work. And I think that that's an important thing right now as times start to get darker in the recession. People lost a lot of money in the downturn. And just remember, like, you're not alone. Reach out to folks if you're feeling funny. We want you here. Like, the world would be a better place with Tony Bourdain if he was still here. Like, he had a young daughter who's like a teenager now, and we just have to like take care of each other.
Absolutely. So if people are looking to find out more about Luna Stower, where is the best place to go?
Lunastower.com, lunastower.com. And Luna_Stower, because you have to probably write it all the way out on Instagram because Meta does not like cannabis educators, but I am Luna Stower.
Super shadow
on
banned.
Instagram. And if you're active on LinkedIn, which if you are not, I don't care if you are a lo-fi grower, I don't care if you're a baby boomer, I don't care if you're a Z-zennial or whatever, get on LinkedIn. It is not what it used to be. It's not just a professional Rolodex anymore. It is one of the only social media platforms on the internet that allows for generally very open conversation about cannabis and professionalizes it. If you want to broaden your supply chain, if you want to see what's going on, follow some thought leaders. You don't even have to post or do anything, but it is definitely, if you are not on LinkedIn as a cannabis professional or as a cannabis lover or as a scientist or a breeder, don't sleep on it. Like, obviously stick on your like Future 4200 or your Reddit or whatever you're getting it from, your Patreons and your Blue Sky and, all these other Facebook groups and all these other fabulous places that we live. Don't sleep on LinkedIn because that's where I'm doing most of my thought leadership and most of my connections, because I want to work with people that are starting to see this for what it is. It is, whether we like it or not, this movement is becoming an industry. Yep. So we have to do industry things. And part of that is building out our resumes and knowing how to, judge good people, that if you've seen how they show up in the space with what they're adding to, it's hard to know what's going on all the time. You can't always just call your friend James Ladd and be like, what's up with this person? It's like, actually, I've been seeing them for 6 years on LinkedIn. They show up at these kinds of events. They put these kinds of things on. They're hosting LinkedIn Lives. Like you see all these things that it's a lot of free education too. So right. Definitely the social media, we're trying to get everyone off of Instagram, right? Like, you're driving people now to your website. Like, this is, even YouTube is not very friendly to us. Like, we have to be really conscious about where we are. So we're trying to move, away from the meta platforms. But as of now, that's where to find me.
Nice.
You might see some dog photos.
Dog photos are
and then obviously during the grow season, you're going to see all the progress photos of everything we're working on. And I try to walk people through how we make the compost tea and how we're doing everything and make it very accessible and lighthearted.
Do you make your compost tea in nylons?
We have just like it looks just like a big, not nylons, because I don't trust the shit that's on those. Yeah. They're like the sterile, like the ones that look like big tea bags.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're nylon, but they're not
like
nylon.
The old school bubble bags, but they're for making tea.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then,
we have molasses. Yeah. Tea bag in it. Right. Yeah. And it smells not so great, but it smells like life. So you kind of get used to it. You're like, this is kind of like good, weird smell, like the molasses and the poop and everything. It's like, this is good.
Nice.
With a little aerating bubble filter thing. And
you got to aerate it. You got to add some sugar.
We have it in the big, what is it, the 50 other big blue ones? Mm-hmm. I love it. It's the best part. And then the foam gets up. And I also water all the other plants in my garden. I have blueberries that
everything
I got
loves
bananas.
It. Yeah.
Bananas came through.
You're growing bananas?
Oh my God.
I have California.
Yes. Isn't that wild?
Nice.
And I swear to God, it's because I'm feeding it You know, it's like when people say just like take prenatal vitamins and they're not pregnant. They're like, what? I can take that. I want strong hair and nails. It's like the same thing. Like, why can't my houseplants get that? Why do only the weed, you know, why does only the weed get it?
Absolutely.
And they're all banging. Like all my plants are banging.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
To seeing you in Germany and everywhere else that I'll see you this year. But yeah, thank you so much. And I
literally live 10 miles that way.
Nice. That's fantastic. Yeah, come by anytime.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below.